What's going on, guys and girls, and all the rest of yous out there? Figured I'd come out and enjoy some of the morning fireworks we got going on. A nice display of lightning, just pretty awesome, pretty awesome. Enjoy some good music, bad company. You know, if you ain't heard that song, hell, go to playlist if it's not in your musical library and actually listen to it. It's pretty good stuff. It's some good old Southern sweet tea. Good stuff. If you don't use a cup and a half bare minimum in your sweet tea, then it just ain't sweet tea. You know, ideally 2 cups, and you can't just, you know, boil the water and toss the tea in it and let it sit for a minute or so, and you know, just mix it up and call it good. It's good Southern sweet tea is like whiskey. It's got to be properly aged, if you know what I'm saying. It's just got to be just right. All right, now getting along with the video here. I posted a video up earlier talking about, you know, Iran and whatnot. You can go back and watch it, and I'm not going to go into detail with it again, but you know, hey, it is what it is, man. It ain't what it ain't. As far as one fella trying to say I'm running around selling fear and whatnot, you know, I don't sell nothing. It's like whenever the agenda choreographers, if you will, try to go ahead and manipulate and set things into motion the way they see fit, and I sit back and compile this information and try to analyze the agenda, of course I'm going to speak my mind. You know, if you find it fearful, then why don't you take some steps to mitigate that? You know, to ensure that that doesn't happen. I don't peddle anything here. I just see what I see, and you know what? I offer my viewpoint for anybody that wants to see it. If not, don't watch it. There's a little X button up over there. Yep, up at the top of the screen there. Just click it. You know, it is what it is. It ain't what it ain't, brother man. But as far as this other fella saying Muslims, you know, that Barry Soetoro ain't going to attack Iran because, you know, he's Muslim, and you know, Muslims don't kill Muslims. I can't agree with you on that, brother man. Remember, Soetoro's a puppet. His strings are being pulled by the puppet masters, or the agenda choreographers, if you will. And you know, if he don't do what he's told, then they'll JFK his ass. You know, bare minimum Ronald Reagan. And man, I hope the hell that doesn't happen, because, well, if they JFK his ass, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to picture what the hell that's going to look like. You know, ideally he would just remember that, hey man, you know, let's take this oath seriously. Of course, we know that's not going to happen. You know, saying Muslims won't kill Muslims like saying Christians won't kill Christians. It happens every day. Look at how many different faiths fall under the Christian umbrella. Who all considers themselves Christians? What? Catholics, I think they consider themselves Christians. Pentecostals, Methodists, Baptists, Seventh-day Adventists, Episcopalians. But they all have differing views of Christianity. You know, just like Muslims, you know, there's different sects of Islam. You know, I'm not Muslim, so I can't speak to that. But you know, that's just what it is. Let's kind of switch gears here. I'm probably going to be all over the map, so just bear with me. Let's talk about some domestic and societal viewpoints. One thing I cannot stand is a hyphenated American. Well, why does that bother you, redneck? Some of you are asking or thinking. Well, to me, that's like having dual allegiance. You know, if you feel the need, my personal opinion is, if you feel the need to hyphenate, you know, and preface American with something, then why don't you go back to whatever that preface is? You know, here we are Americans. How come we just can't be Americans anymore? Why does everything have to be prefaced? Why does it have to be prefaced with something? Why do you have to insert that dual allegiance? You know, I don't say I'm Irish American. I mean, I got the red beard, light skin, got the, you know, little freckles and all that good stuff. But I'm not an Irish American. I'm American by the grace of God. Now, you know, I don't care. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, yellow, red, hell, purple, green, polka dot, rainbow, candy cane, stripe. It doesn't matter. You know, if we could just get past this hyphenating and dual allegiance as I see it, and just we're Americans and start acting like Americans instead of just buying into all this programming, this television programming. Yeah, I got a TV in the house, but you know what? No satellite, no cable, don't even have little bunny ears. Got a selection of movies. You know, you can do the Netflix thing, or I got the computer here. I can hook the computer up to the TV with the S-video cable, and you know, Xbox, PlayStation, you know, all that kind of good stuff. But you know, as far as just watching your indoctrination, why do you think they call it television programming? The programming guide. It's indoctrination. That's the reason I don't have it in the house. I don't let my kids watch it. I don't watch it. Maybe that's the reason I see things the way I do. At least part of it. You know? I don't know. Seems like we're not Americans anymore. You know, sometimes I got to look at, you know, some of these other nations when I sit back, look at the fat, dumb Americans. Ignorant. And for the most part, you know what? They're right. It wouldn't surprise me if we woke up tomorrow and if the powers that be decided to implement all the policies that are going on over in Europe, you know, the whole socialism, this, that, and another, and the police state and whatnot. I guarantee you, a great majority of the Americans would just go right along with it. Just go right along with it. As long as they didn't come for the guns. You know, because, hey, it's no secret, I've got firearms. And I use them. Recreation, hunting. But I hope that's where it stops. I'd never want to use my firearms against another human being. You know, but if you're just going to blatantly just come for my guns, guys, you know, we're going to have some issues. As many Americans are going to have issue with that. But that set aside, you know, all the other stuff they got going on now, yeah, I bet people just march, you know, happy along and do the day. You know, matter of fact, I was talking with my neighbor, you know, and of course, my neighbors are pretty good shots too. Been taking them out, you know. Hey, part of the benefits of being part of that rifle and pistol club, you know, got a 750-yard range to play on. Of course, you got some smaller pistol ranges, shotgun, you know, and all that good stuff, but they're getting to be pretty good. And sitting out there, and we was talking, and it was like, you know something? It was like, you know, love you to death. You're great to us. You're great with the kids, and have never had as good of a neighbor as you are. You know, but you open people's eyes and make them see things, and they don't like it. And you know, if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but I feel that it's my duty to inform people on what's really going on, to pull their heads out of the idiot box. And you know, you're all cuddled up under your covers, you know, with your bubble around you, and as long as it's not affecting what's immediately under your covers, you pretend like it's not going on. When it's all closing in, and pretty soon it's going to be under you to cover with you, and then it's too late. That's the way I look at it, you know. And you know, I can't help myself. That's the way I am. If I see something wrong, you know, it's like if my neighbor's house was getting jacked up, you know, I'm going to do something about it. You know, I'm not a bystander. I don't just sit back and watch. I mean, that's, you know, hey, if I got to go scream to the four winds, so be it. You know, and let's talk to some of the cops out there real quick. At what point does it become, you know, what point does it stop being, well, you know, I know it's kind of, you know, messed up, but I'm just doing my job, to realizing some of you guys are becoming a very domestic enemy you swore to defend this country against. this protect our Constitution. The people. Following orders didn't work at the Nuremberg trials, And there's a lot of good cops out there, don't get me wrong. But, at what point, what is it going to take for us just to say, you know what, we're Americans, damn it. And it's not going to happen here. I know it's kind of random and kind of all over the map, and I'm going to cut it short here. I'm out of time. Maybe I should just go to Facebook. I got 20 minutes there, and, just put some good stuff up over there. I don't know. But anyway, y'all have a good one.